Hey, this is Notser, and this is the Tier 7 Premium German Battleship Scharnhorst. She has 9 283mm guns, 6 torpedoes, 62 AA defense rating, a surface detect of 15.2 kilometers top speed, 30 knots, total health 56,300. For my modules, reduce crit chance on main armament, improved aiming accuracy, reduce the chance of flood and fire, faster rudder shift. For my commander, basic survivability, basic firing training, expert marksman, vigilance, and advanced firing training. We're on the map New Dawn, and I wanted to bring out this lovely lady for the credit income. I need it desperately. I had to invest in ships that I wasn't ready to invest in. I also want to level up the commander. This is my Große Kurfürst commander. I don't quite have level 5 skill yet. I need one more skill point. I have been leveling this guy forever. The second they announced that German battleships would be the next one after the Soviet cruiser line, I was all on top of it, stuck it in my tirpitz, and went with it. We almost reached a 15 skill commander. Not quite, but I think we're going to get there rapidly because it's really fun playing this ship. I could play it all day, every game. That's how entwined the playstyle fits. Now, I was engaging a Pensacola. First salvo did about 1,000. Next salvo did about 5,000. And I'm just checking on the enemies, maybe their angle. I'm looking at the minimap, and that was a good shot. Middle of the pack, 9,000 points of damage. No citadel, but can't really get much better than that. Now, I apologize if it's slightly choppy. I don't know what it is about the World of Warships app, but it just feels like if I play the game for longer than an hour, 2 hours in a go, it gets really slow. And it chops at time. Oh! That felt good. That was clear. Got to see 2 citadels, devastating strike, a Kirov wiped off the map. And 3 minutes, 30 seconds in, the guy's already out. Can't show too much of his side. That was just an unfortunate location. He went on the inside of the island, and it was donezo there. You got to really consider where you're going. If you can't dictate the fight, you got to use islands as your advantage. I get trapped in that exact same thing where I'm a little aggressive. I want to move into a position, but you really need to recognize, okay, the ranges of the enemy, what they could actually potentially do. It's boring, it's unfortunate, but it's a part of the play. Now, I have my shells reloaded again, because that is what the Scharnhorst does best. And we do nothing to the enemy Nagato. Took a little bit of fire from an enemy Colorado. Now, some people would tell you, oh, why are you pushing forward? Why are you leading the pack? You should let your destroyers do that. I would love to. One's in the east, one is dead, and a third is at the mouth of the islands just south of my point. What can they really do? They're outnumbered by the enemy, and the strength of the German battleship is that you get into a range where you cannot be citadeled anymore, but you don't have multiple enemy targets engaging you. You feel right at home, up close and personal with a single ship, if at all possible. You'll take just as much damage as anyone else, unless the damage was gonna be a citadel at close range. Now I see an enemy Colorado, he's angling away. I've got a friendly escort, we're doing a lot of work. Only, a couple enemy ships have been taken out. We are the majority of those kills. Enemy destroyer sent his torpedoes, but not gonna hit me. I sent my torpedoes against the enemy Colorado, and I don't think he recognizes it until it's too late. Yes, it's too late for you. I let out one more salvo. Why not? Get him down, pretty down, and he gets really low. Dots going. We kill him. I don't know if it was a fire that my secondary sent, torpedoes, whatever. We killed the Colorado with the assistance of the friendly. And I was about to turn all the way around, support the Gneisenau. Unfortunately, there's torpedoes there, and now they're gone. So we can go full speed, continue the turn, support him. He is retreating, which he should, way overextended, based on how many enemies are around that corner and the torpedo threat. He's going to turn up into the island, which most of the time is a no-go. But in this particular scenario, it's actually the best go. He's avoiding shots from the enemy because he's right at their base. I try to fire on an enemy König, and unfortunately, he had pretty good angling. He was just off-center enough that he probably, 10 degrees? Yeah. He had enough angle that it was frustrating, and I didn't get a lot of damage. That is the issue with the Scharnhorst. It has a lower than average caliber per tier, and it must try to rely on the opponent to make a mistake in angling to do damage. Again, didn't really do anything. Even a penetrating shell, and I have the air quotes going, doesn't do any damage. An enemy destroyer sent their torpedoes, possibly the enemy Mahan. I was able to avoid it. I'm not really sailing with the intent to move fast in one direction, sort of changing my direction, changing my speed. That's just part of being around a destroyer. The potential torpedo threat. I lack any hydroacoustic that is on the tier 8, 9, and 10 of the German battleship line. So I have to be a little bit more sly with engaging enemy destroyers. Now, I would argue I have the rudder shift, the turn radius, that is much better, so I don't have to rely completely on a skill, and here comes some more. But it would be nice, right? It would be nice. Now, this enemy destroyer, this enemy Mahan, is staying behind an island, and I want to get him. I send my torpedoes. Maybe he's going to come out from behind. Enemy König is having just the right angle. I swap to HE to engage enemy destroyers. I was firing on the Farragut. And honestly, you want to fire HE at a well-angled target. You know, bow on, stern on, some angle. It's just not going to work out for your caliber. You need to play this ship closer to what a cruiser would do in each scenario than a battleship, based on the caliber. I mean, there is a cruiser that has a caliber that's very close to this one, eventually. Now, it's a tier 10, but that tier 10 is really good. I will be sharing a video soon on the Moskva, if anyone doesn't get the reference. I think it has a 280 caliber. It's in the it's more than 220, or it's more than 203, and it's less than 300. It's somewhere in that range. And this is somewhere in that range, right? 283, somewhere in that range. The enemy destroyer doesn't want to come out from behind the island. Not at all. But I do recognize, because of the distance, the proximity, I am detecting this player while he's in the smoke. So I'm going to try and stay here and engage enemies. Now, I would prefer to take out a ship from 100 to 0. Who wouldn't? It's about padding those stats, looking good. Who cares about if you're a good teammate? Pfft. It's all about number one, baby, the camo, and of course the personal stats, so people can look you up and say, oh my goodness, Notser, you just took out that enemy Mahan on New Dawn and look good doing it. Yeah. Obviously, it's for the team. It's supporting the flank, making sure that your guy has a backup, not allowing an enemy that has weaseled his way, and that was a weasel play, weaseled his way into staying right up against an island, trying, hoping that people will just move on. No, we're not moving on. We're taking you down. Now, I don't really have a shot on the target that I want to go after, the enemy Farragut, so I engage the enemy Nagato with HE, hoping for a fire. Absolutely nothing, unfortunately. Now, Notser, keep in mind, there's an island in front of you, and I was aware. I'm playing with the throttle, trying to turn, just get an angle on the enemy Farragut. And we do finally have an angle on the Farragut. And I fire my guns, and I think I missed him. Oh yeah, I missed him. Ugh. Could have been better. And he disappears. He's outside of my detection range. He doesn't fire his guns. He might have sent torpedoes. Might not. I can't really say. But I'm detected because I recently fired. I engaged the enemy König, and someone hit him for a lot. after he was invisible. But that's great. We set 2 fires, not 1, but 2 fires in the enemy König, and depending on our luck, maybe he already had damage control used. I would really like it if his damage control was used. Now, I don't see any damage ticking up, so he has indeed put out the fires. But if I could take this Farragut out, oh yes I can, I'll be happy with my life. Everything has been completed that I need to. We don't need to do anything else. Obviously, we need to do something else. We need to take the enemy Nagato out. We need to make sure that this treasonous evildoer, and sorry about that, I opened up the information tab for a split second. We did 4,200. I was trying to talk to the player who recognized me, and he was like, hey, good work. But he's treasonous because he's red, he's evil, and he has to deal with an island, so he's showing too much of his side. Obviously, I'm not complaining. He chose the wrong side. Maybe next time, Commander Steel. Fire AP at the waterline, and we get 10,000 points of damage. Not bad. We also earned Confederate, and I'm going to use this island to force the Nagato to hold his fire. And you can be kind of cheeky about this stuff. If you know he's about to fire, then you're basically delaying his DPS potential on your ship. We started it fairly even. However, I was in a much more advantageous position. I was basically bow on. He was not. He had to deal with the island. Now, he's getting in a position that is more helpful. Unfortunately for him, he's not quite there yet. He's got to get a little bit more angle. 6,500. The only way this would work out better for him is if he was on the other side of the island and didn't have to contend with all of the side shots that we got. We got probably 17,000, 18,000 damage on the target, and the AP slowly going down, right? Slowly going down. I angled to use the back gun, did almost no damage. Recognize that immediately. Swap to HE. Don't be a stickler. Oh, you know what? My AP's so good. He'll eventually show his side again, and I'll penetrate it for lots of damage. You just have to recognize the player's playing it as well as he can. He's angling to send his AP. He's going to angle back. We do 2,000. We set a fire. Our secondary set another fire. So there's 2 fires. He puts the fires out. He sets a fire on me. I put the fire out. He was firing AP. I felt like the secondary fire is much more rare than his main battery. And every time he angles to use his AP, I am going to fire my HE, set the target on fire, and just wear him down. I think we got another secondary fire. That's pretty rare. He's in a losing battle. Eventually he's going to lose. He has to make something happen. It's not really going to happen. This is the bread and butter of a German battleship. Being fairly close to your opponent, you can't take a citadel. It's just impossible for this guy to citadel my ship. A friendly of his could possibly do that. Oh, he's barely alive. Is he going to burn down? He's got a heal going. He's trying. Am I going to have to fire? No, I don't have to fire. I earn high caliber and Kraken Unleashed on that target. You want the 1v1 and a relatively close proximity to the enemy. Obviously, torpedoes are not in your favor. If you have to deal with a torpedo, then the balance shifts, where you want to keep enough range that you can react, or at least attempt to react. That's why you take all the torpedo boats out. There's nobody to stop you. Literally, quite literally, there's nobody to stop you. Because they can't citadel you. The best they can do is good AP damage on a target that maybe shows too much side. You go bow on, you go stern on, you prevent most of that damage. And HE is just going to wear you down. Going to wear you down. Since there's nobody else pushing our base, I'm going to retreat back to assist my teammates, or I guess push forward. It's a little odd when you're chasing someone as they're going to your base. Not something that really happens in war. Usually what happens is the line is broken, they get to whatever base of operation or objective they want, and you're basically cleared out of the area. But to follow them back to your base, then go back to the front, or at least the enemy base, is a little weird. And we get some pretty good damage just as the enemy disappears. Now, he's done a really good job. They took out 2 targets almost simultaneously. It's 2v2. Anyone's game. So I'm going to try and be as supportive as I can of the friendly. Now, the friendly is a New York class U.S. battleship. Not exactly the most powerful ally that I could have in this potential situation, but it's not too bad. I really only need him to take attention, possibly draw out the enemy destroyer, and I'm pretty confident that I'll be there to exploit that opening. Hopefully. I would like to believe it. Now, the game so far has been pretty good, right? I haven't particularly been passive. I led the flank push towards the enemy base. I did pull back, but my ultimate goal there was to try and kill that enemy destroyer. I didn't want to have 6 targets fire on me. I was not confident that we would have won that flank if I would have just pushed forward, allowed the destroyer to exist. We basically rooted him out by sandwiching him, taking out a possible torpedo. And speaking of torpedo target, we've got a Kraken unleashed on the other team. It's in the form of a destroyer, and I don't want any part of that. The strategy completely changes. I was going to push forward, take him out. I felt confident. Okay, 2v1, we take out the Colorado. That was what the stated goal was going to be. Not anymore. Not anymore. We're going to salvage this win. I am not giving this up. She has led me to a very lucrative game. Very lucrative. Need those credits. Am I right? Tier 10 costs too much. I am trying so hard to get a good game in Tier 9 and 10. It is so debilitating losing that much cash. And you're top on the team or near the top, and it's like, well, you didn't do anything. Here, pay us 100,000 credits. What? I have premium. Why? Why are you so cruel? So yeah, it's important. You gotta get these wins. You can't just throw them away. And that would be throwing it away if I continued pushing forward towards the enemy team. I am detected, not by the Colorado. And I don't want to run into the island. Gotta complete the turn. Now we're not detected anymore. I felt like the enemy destroyer is behind that little tiny island, and he could be farther back, but that little tiny island is breaking line of sight. That little tiny island that's in the direct center of the map, that's what I'm talking about. I felt like, you noticed my cursor for a second. I felt like E4, maybe D5, is a rough estimate of where he might potentially be. So I'm going to try and race him back to my base. Now, he's going to get there first, but if I catch him unaware, he's going to go to our base and try and take out the Colorado, I could kill him. There's about a minute left, and the enemy is attempting to capture. There's no way there's enough time for a single ship to capture, but the points are pretty close, right? We've got to get there. We need to make sure we can win this game. I'm not 100%. I've never been in a scenario where the teams have been this close. We're about 30 points different. And the tick rate is about 2 points every 10 seconds? 5 seconds? There's 30 seconds left, so that means it's going to tick 6 more times or 5 more times. And that's about 15. So we should be good. We should be good, but obviously I didn't do the math in my head at the time. I was just focused on trying to find the enemy, take him out. I am aware that, this tick rate, it looks pretty good. I don't think they're going to catch up. So I'm not overextending. I am aware that, taking me out with torpedoes would probably be the only option. And we did it. We did it. We won the game. And we didn't throw away this great game. And to top it off, we've got a lot of missions going on in the North American server where we get XP bonus for pretty much everything. Kraken Unleashed, Devastating Strike, High Caliber, Confederate, 5 kills, a ton of everything, 2,210 base XP. The Gneisenau did a great job too. Most of my damage, main battery. We did do 20,000 in fires though, and that's pretty nice. Hope you enjoyed seeing this. I really enjoyed the game. It was really fun and pretty tense at the end. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I'll catch you next time.